In today's video, I'm going to be taking down Pokemon Violet with Arven's team. We're going to go from the first battle with Nomura all the way to the final battle with Professor Churros. I'm not going to be using items in battle, that includes held items for this challenge, and I also won't be allowed to terrestrialize. I'm going to take the first one of every single team member, and I'm not going to be re-rolling for natures or anything like that. We ran into 3 shinies in this run, which is honestly crazy, so stick around to find out which ones they were. We can get 5 members of Arven's team really early in the game, so the first few gyms are going to be pretty easy. After that, I'm going to stay roughly around the level cap, but not as strict as a Nuzlocke. Maybe 1 or 2 levels over is fine. As it gets a bit later on, battles get a little bit more intense and the level cap gets a little bit closer. So we'll skim over the first few gyms pretty quickly and we'll pay more attention to the later fights. There's a ton of encounters in this game with Titan battles, Star battles, all 8 gym leaders, all 4 Elite Four, the champion, the battle with Nomura, the battle with the fake Arven, battle with Penny, and even the battle with Professor Churros at the end. We even fight Professor Cavil at some point. So there's a ton of encounters. So with all of that out the way, let's get started. I'm using Sprigatito until I can get my first real starter, which is going to be a Scovet. You can catch Scovet pretty much straight away, but before I even found one, I got a shiny Tarantula, which is the first of 3. I'm going to collect a full team of 6 shinies and use them to complete the game, so this will be the first one of those. I then went on to catch my actual Scovet, which I'm going to use for the run, and immediately after we found our second shiny, a Lechonk. I know these Pokemon aren't great, but I actually think their shiny designs are really good. I love it when they're a completely different colour to the original. We can catch our second team member in Mischief pretty much straight away after that, and then our third team member Nacli right after that as well. I then move on to catch my 4th team member, which took me quite a while to find, but it's a Toedscool. You also have to sneak up on this one, which I didn't actually know how to do, so I had to look that up as well. We finally caught it, and that's 4 team members. The last one we can get for now is Capsakid, and I went and caught that straight away. First gym's going to be Katie and her bug types, which is going to be an absolute pushover considering we've already got 5 team members and a fire type. We send in Capsakid and take out Nimble pretty much straight away with a bite. She sends in her boring non-shiny Tarantula next and it meets the exact same fate. It falls to a bite as well. Her last Pokemon's going to be her Teddiursa, and the gimmick here is that it uses Fury Cutter over and over again. If you don't know, Fury Cutter gets stronger every time you use it, so the more this thing stays alive, the more dangerous it's going to be. I decided to switch to Mischief next and go for Thunderfang, trying to get the paralysis off. Paralysis didn't land and she took out Mischief with a super effective Fury Cutter. I then sent in Toedscool and went for accuracy drops with Mudslap next, but that also went down to a Fury Cutter. This is actually quite bad, I really didn't think she was going to destroy our team like this. I sent in Scovet next and finished it off with a critical hit bite. We were pretty lucky with that since it was getting really strong with those Fury Cutters. With that we've taken out Katie and beaten the first gym. Next up was the Rock type Titan in Cloth. We took this thing down with absolute ease, especially with the fake Arven's help. These Titan battles are really easy to be honest, so I'm just going to skim over them really quickly. You get Arven's help as well, so there really aren't that much of a challenge. We head over to Brassius next, who's a grass type gym leader. He starts with his Petilil, and I decide to start with Scovet as well. I'm actually really surprised with Scovet. He's a really good Pokemon. I was thinking he was going to be completely useless, but he gets quite good moves, and he's actually got quite a good attack stat. Unfortunately, he falls to the Petilil, but he does quite a lot of damage beforehand. I send in Mischief next, and we haven't quite got Firefang yet. I could have gone back to the Houndour cave and farmed for Houndour fangs and then got Firefang, but I just felt like we didn't really need it. We've got so many team members at this point that I might as well just wait and get it later. He sends in his Sudowoodo last, and this thing has Rock Throw and Trailblaze, neither of which are going to be a huge problem for us, and after this battle we're actually going to get the TM for Trailblaze, which is a decent move. It raises your speed every time you use it, and it's just a pretty good grass move in general. Arven has 2 grass type team members, so it's actually really useful to have grass TMs. He goes for a Trailblaze on our Toedscool, which is actually going to be pretty effective considering we've got part ground type, and his speed's getting a bit strong now. We managed to connect a Confuse Ray, but unfortunately he breaks through and hits us with another Trailblaze. We're going to survive this one quite easily, and we're going to go for Mudslap now to try and lower his accuracy. We connect the first one, bringing his accuracy down, and the next turn he's confused. Breaks through again. In a stroke of luck, we managed to avoid it. I went for a Screech next to lower its defense, meaning that as soon as we send in another team member, we can take him down with ease. We managed to make him miss again the next turn, and another Screech brings his defense to -4. If he hits himself in confusion, which he just seems to be refusing to do, he'll actually knock himself out with such a low defense stat. He finally hits his Trailblaze, taking Toadschool down, which is absolutely fine since we send in our Caps Kid next. We easily survive a Rock Throw, and one bite with -4 defense takes down Sudowoodo. This is our second gym badge, and the Grass Gym's finished. Next up is going to be the Flying Titan, and after this we get access to Surf, meaning we can go and get our final team member, Shelder. We can also get Water Stones really easily on beaches and things like that. There's also one behind the Water Gym, so I can evolve it pretty much straight away. Knackley easily takes down the Flying Titan with a Smackdown, and I decided to take this opportunity to go and grab a Firestone to evolve Caps the Kid. He's not great in his pre-evolved form, but as soon as he becomes Scovillain, he's absolutely overpowered. Fire and Grass type's such a good combo. I head over to the Water Gym so that I can collect a Water Stone. There's one right behind the gym over here by this waterfall. This means I'm ready to go and collect my Shelder and immediately evolve him into Cloyster. I actually think Cloyster's a pretty underrated Pokemon. He gets some decent Ice type moves and a good Water type move as well. And the move that we get later on, Ice Spinner from the Ice Gym, is actually really good for him. The team's actually really overpowered for where we are now. We're pretty close to the level cap, but we do have a full team of 6 with 2 fully evolved Pokemon on our team. Next up is the Starbase with Giacomo. He's the Dark type crew member and he starts with his Pawniard. I decided to start with Scovillain since Fire type moves are going to be super effective. I've also taught it Flamethrower, and with one hit we take down the Pawniard with ease. That's his only team member apart from his Starmobile, and he sends that in next. 2 Flamethrowers take it down to the orange, but unfortunately Scovillain falls. Next up I send in Maschiff, who knows Fire Fang. It's not super effective against the Starmobile since it takes on the type of its user, meaning it's going to be a Dark type. I can easily finish it off with one Body Slam from Scovit, and that means we've taken out the first of 5 Team Star member bosses. Team Star is going to get a lot harder than that as we go on, and probably the hardest fight in the game is the fight with Eri, who's the 5th Team Star member boss. Up next we've got a fight against Nomura, and to be honest she goes down with ease, so I just skipped over this one really quickly. We've got 6 team members to her 3, and we quite easily take them down. Knackley immediately evolves after that into that thing from Minecraft, and next up we've got Iona. This is going to be the 3rd gym, and to be honest, I don't really see her being a big problem either. I decided to go through all these fights really quickly since our team's just so overpowered and it's more interesting later on. We easily take down the Watchful with a critical hit, and I don't even think we needed it. She sends in her Belly Bolt next, and Scovillain takes it down with a Trailblaze. Next up is her Luxio, and 2 Flamethrowers take it down easily as well. All that she's got left is her Miss Magius, and she's done a decent bit of damage to our team. She's also going to Terrastallize it straight away, which means it's going to turn into an electric type. This doesn't really help her that much, but it does boost her electric moves. He's also got the move Charge Beam, which is going to boost her special attack every single time she uses it, meaning the longer she's on the field, the more damage she's going to do. She takes down Scovillain, but not before he can do Flamethrower damage. She also starts using Confuse Ray, which is kind of annoying, but Toadschool breaks through the first turn, meaning we can get off a Mud Slap and lower this thing's accuracy. At least that's what I thought, but it's got Levitate, so it doesn't affect it. Really annoying that we wasted a move there, but I started going for Screech next, bringing its defense harshly down. We got off the second one, meaning it's at -4 defense. Toadschool goes down, but he's done the damage. I send Knuckle Stack in next, and we should be able to do huge damage with super effective -4 defense damage. He gets off the Confuse Ray again, and unfortunately, this time we hit ourselves. It's not too bad, but after he hits a Hex next turn, brings us down to the low orange. We really need to break through confusion this turn. If we can get a Smackdown off at -4 defense, we'd probably take this thing out. It's exactly what happens, but it survives with a Slither. I honestly can't believe that. Another plus side to that is it's now not using Levitate, since Smackdown cancels out the effects of Levitate. Unfortunately, it takes down Knuckle Stack with one more Hex, and all that's left is Cloyster. As long as we can get off a hit, we can finish this thing off. Downside is, electric moves are super effective against Cloyster. For some reason, he decided to go for Confuse Ray. We break through and finish it off. It outsped us, so I don't know why it didn't go for Charge Beam. It probably would have killed Cloyster in one hit, and Iona would have won that battle. Straight after, Scovet evolves into Greedent, and if he wasn't overpowered already, he's now got a huge defense stat and loads of health. We head over to the second team star base with Mela and her fire types. This should be an absolute breeze with Cloyster, since he's got water type moves. Kick things off with a Surf against her Torkoal and do actually quite decent damage. I really thought we were going to take that out in one hit, but unfortunately we don't. The second one gets a crit and we managed to take her out in 2. We definitely would have needed 3 otherwise. Next up is our Starmobile, and it immediately goes for an Overheat, which does do huge damage, but we managed to get off a Surf next. Overheat also lowers its special attack harshly, and when it uses a second one, it's now at -4 special attack. That kind of makes this thing pretty useless now. We send in Knuckle Stack next, since we can use our Rock type moves. It does manage to get the burn off, meaning that it lowers our attack stat, and we can't really do a whole lot before Knuckle Stack goes down too. I decided to send in Toadschool and try and get one accuracy drop with Mud Slap, but unfortunately he gets taken out in one hit before he can even do anything. Maschiff comes in next, and after avoiding a Screech, he manages to get off a Thunderfang. The plan here was to get the Paralysis, but it didn't really work. I decided to go for a Thunderfang again next turn, and a Blazing Torch does loads of damage to us. He also gets the burn off, meaning Thunderfang's not going to do quite as much, but it doesn't matter anyway because we miss. One more Blazing Torch takes Maschiff down, and we're kind of running out of team members here. I send in Scovillain next, since he's going to do quite decent damage. We go for a Zen Headbutt, and after one Blazing Torch doesn't do that much damage, it's looking pretty good. Another Blazing Torch takes us into the orange, and one more Zen Headbutt takes him into the red. Unfortunately, the next Blazing Torch takes Scovillain out, and we probably would have won that if we'd managed to hit one more of our Zen Headbutts. Fortunately, we've still got Greedent, and with his massive defense stat and ton of health, we can go for a Body Slam, knowing full well that we're easily going to survive a Blazing Torch. Body Slam connects, and we probably could have taken another 3 or 4 hits. That means we've taken down 2 star member bases, and Mela's finished. I've actually made a list that I use with encounters in order of highest level. So for example, after taking down Mela, the next highest level encounter is the Steel Titan, which is the one that we've taken down now. If you want me to make a video letting you know which ones you should do and in which order, let me know and I'll make that for sure. Next up, we've got Maschiff's evolution into Mabostiff. This thing's going to be really powerful on the team, and I'm very happy that it's evolved. We can take out the Water Gym next in Kofu, and we've got quite a decent team here. I wasn't actually recording when Toadschool evolved into Toadscruel, but he's going to be super powerful now since he's Grass type. We've also got Toxic Spikes, so we can set that up straight away. We've also got another Grass type in Scovillain, and we've got Thunderfang on Mabostiff as well. The plan for Toadscruel here is to just keep going for Mega Drain and get a bit of our health back every time. Unfortunately, Veloza's got Pluck, which is a super effective move. We land another Mega Drain and manage to get back up into the green. It goes for one more Pluck, taking us back down into the red, and unfortunately, a critical hit means that Toadscruel goes down. I send in Scovillain next, and we should be able to take this thing down easily with a Trailblaze. This also gives us a speed boost, meaning that we can actually start getting our speed stat up quite high, and with Trailblaze being a pretty decent move, we can actually hit first and probably take down quite a lot of his team very quickly. The poison's also going to be an effect from Poison Spikes. We actually take out his Wug Trio with one Trailblaze with ease. Unfortunately though, we get a speed drop. This means that our first speed boost isn't going to count, and we've only got +1 speed at this point. He sends in his final Pokemon and he's going to Terrastallize it into a water type. Crabominable's pretty dangerous, but we managed to get a super effective Trailblaze off and nearly take half. The Crab Hammer unfortunately takes Scovillain down to the point where Sandstorm finishes him off. I don't really know why there's a Sandstorm kicking up here, I guess because the desert's right next to it, but kind of annoying. It does also mean he's taking damage every turn, so I'm not that upset about it. There's an island nearby to Iona's gym where you can get Hyper Beam, and I decided to teach it to Greedent. Luckily we managed to take it out in one hit with Hyper Beam and finish off the water gym. You have to recharge afterwards, so it would have been a big problem. I then find my third shiny in a shiny Pawniard. This is actually amazing. This is one of my favourite shinies, and having a King Gambit on the future shiny team is going to be really helpful. I'm actually working on my next video now, and I'm about halfway through. I've managed to catch a 4th shiny, and it's a really good one. So make sure you're subscribed so when that video comes out, you can watch it straight away. Next up is Atticus, the poison type star member. We send in Knuckle Stack first, and we immediately get poisoned. I decided to go for a dig since it's going to be super effective, and when we hit next turn we take it all the way down to the red. Unfortunately, Knuckle Stack falls to poison. That's not a great start, but we send in Scovillain next. We go for a flamethrower, and unfortunately he manages to get a sucker punch off before we can take him down. It doesn't do too much damage, and with his Scun Tank finished, luckily it doesn't have Aftermath, which would have done huge damage to us. We start going for Zen Headbutt, which is going to be super effective next, and we get mucked to less than half. One Sludge Wave is enough to take out Scovillain, which is really unfortunate because we easily could have taken it down with one more Zen Headbutt. Cloyster's up next, and we go for an Icicle Spear. We only manage to hit 2 times, but we get him down into the red. Sludge Wave takes us down to half and gets the poison off. Kind of annoying, but we can go for an Icicle Spear next turn and finish it off. That's exactly what we do, and Muck falls next. He sends in his Reverum next, which is a really strange choice considering he's got a Starmobile, which is also a Reverum. He manages to take down our Cloyster, and next up, we're going to send in Toadscruel. I'm going for the accuracy drops here, which is a great start since he misses his first Iron Head. We hit our second Mud Shot and get his accuracy down even more. He does manage to hit his next Iron Head, but with one more Mud Slap, we take down the Reverum. All that's left is his Starmobile. This is going pretty well, and we can actually start lowering its accuracy straight away. It hits us with a Noxious Talk and gets the poison off. It also takes us down to the red, but one more Mud Slap means that we get 1 accuracy drop. He then takes out Toadscruel with Noxious Talk, but at least we did get 1 off. I send him a Boss Stiff next, and Noxious Talk doesn't do too much damage. I'm going to go for Thunderfang here and try and get the paralysis off. Unfortunately, it means its Toxic Debris activates, and it means that any next member that I send in is going to immediately be poisoned. He manages to take my Boss Stiff down, but not before getting to about half health. I'm going to send Ingredient next, since he's got a pretty decent attack stat, and I think we can do decent damage here. He gets us all the way down to the red and poisoned, so I decided to go for a Hyper Beam. I knew we were going down that turn, so it didn't even matter that we'd have to recharge since we would be dead anyway. He's down to the red, and unfortunately, the whole team's finished. Really annoying to lose there, but we managed to get back up to the Starmobile again, and we're in a better position this time. Zen Headbutt from Scovillain does pretty decent damage, and he takes out Scovillain with 1 more Smog next turn. We have 3 team members left now, and Toadscruel has full health, so we can start lowering his accuracy. Mudshot actually does pretty decent damage here anyway, so I'm not too concerned. It's a super effective move against poison types, and we can do decent damage and lower the accuracy. That's 1 accuracy drop down, and with 2 Noxious Talks, we're all the way down to 25 HP. We get another Mudshot off, meaning he's at -2 accuracy, but unfortunately Toadscruel's going to go down here. He misses, and we get a 3rd accuracy drop. That's actually huge. The poison finishes Toadscruel off, but he's done what he needed to do. We've still got Cloyster and the Boss Stiff, 2 really solid team members. And as I send Cloyster in, we go for a Water Pulse. He misses his Noxious Talk due to his terrible accuracy stat now. And the plan with Water Pulse is to get the confusion off. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit the first turn. He goes for a Noxious Talk and takes us down to 60 HP. We're hoping this Water Pulse hits the confusion, but unfortunately it doesn't again. He does miss his next turn, and we go for another Water Pulse. That's 3 times now that he hasn't been hit by confusion, and with our 4th Water Pulse, we still don't get it. He finally takes down Cloyster with another Noxious Talk, but my Boss Stiff probably has this in the bag. We can probably take him out in 1 hit anyway. It doesn't hurt that he's probably going to miss us too. He actually hits his Noxious Talk, but it really doesn't do very much. And with 1 more crunch, we managed to take the Starmobile down on our 2nd attempt and finish Atticus off. I really didn't think the team would go down to him. It's always the ones you least expect. Larry's up next, and he's using his normal types at this point. He starts with his Kamala, and we're going to start with our Greedent. He actually misses his first slam, which is a great start. We hit our body slam and do over half damage to him. He hits his second slam, but it doesn't really matter since it does barely anything. We take Kamala out next turn. Next up is the Dunsparce, which is a stupid evolution if you ask me, and Greedent takes it down with ease. Finally, he's going to be his Staraptor, and he's going to terrestrialize it into a normal type, taking it from a pretty decent type into an absolutely useless type. This Staraptor can actually do really good damage, and he manages to take Greedent out, but we still have a full team of 5 team members at this point, and there's not a whole lot he can really do to us. Knucklestat comes in next, and he doesn't have a single move that can do very good damage to us. Unfortunately, Rock Slide isn't super effective anymore, and we can't take it out that well. Lands a critical hit and finishes Knucklestat off. Next up is Mabostiff, and it's already down to the low orange. One more crunch is enough to take down his Staraptor and finish off the 5th gym. That means Larry's finished, and we're going to move on to the next battle. It's going to be a battle with Nomura, and she's a real pushover at this point, so I just skip past pretty quickly. She manages to take down our Scovillain, but Cloyster finishes off the Quaquaval and gets us another easy win on our rival Nomura. I actually think Quaquaval's not the best starter for her. If she has Skeledirge, she's actually quite a threat at this point, since her Torch Song does huge damage and raises her special attack, meaning it can get out of control pretty quick. After that fight, we evolve our Knucklestack into Garganical, or Garganacle if you're an idiot. No, I'm only joking, say it however you want. Next up is Rhyme and her ghost types, and this is going to be double battles, which is actually quite cool. Ascending Cloyster and Mabostiff, and she goes for a Sucker Punch. I know that the Mimikyu is going to use its disguise on the first turn, and Mabostiff takes out the Banette with one strong crunch. I decided to use a Water Pulse to take out Mimikyu's disguise. I'm not sure if the confusion can actually land when you take the disguise off Mimikyu, but I thought it's better than nothing. I went for another crunch next time to take down the Houndstone, and this time the Mimikyu is up to take damage. Sets up a light screen, which is kind of annoying, but one Icicle Spear manages to take it down with ease. I'm really lucky that we actually hit so many times, since it doesn't always hit 4 times, and they even got a critical hit, which we didn't need at the end. That means Mimikyu's taken out the same turn as Houndstone, so she's only got 1 Pokemon left. It's her Toxtricity, and it's going to be a 2v1 as she terrestrializes it into a ghost type, making my crunch super effective, and meaning that it gets taken out in 1 hit. Rhyme was a complete pushover, and that was probably the easiest gym we've had in the entire run. Got yet another rival battle with Nomura, and this time she actually brought us down to our last Pokemon. She hit Garganical with 1 Aqua Step and took him all the way down to 1 HP. Luckily he's got the Sturdy ability, meaning he survived that hit, and with 1 more Hammer Arm he's able to take out Quaquaval. We were literally 1 HP away from blacking out in that fight, so she's actually becoming a bit of a threat now. With Nomura finished, we can move on to the 7th gym and 1 step closer to the Elite Four. It's going to be Tulip up next, and she uses Psychic types, meaning that we can use Mabostiff's Crunch to take out a lot of our team pretty quickly. She starts with her Farragarith, and we start with Greedent. I'm really liking Greedent in this game, and after he takes his Zen Headbutt, he manages to get flinched. Kind of annoying. She goes for another Zen Headbutt next turn, and we actually managed to break through this time, landing a bite. It was a critical hit, and we don't quite do half health, but 2 more should be enough to take her out. She misses next turn, and another bite takes her to the low red. 1 more Zen Headbutt gets another flinch. She goes for another Zen Headbutt and gets us down to 15, with 1 final bite taking out the Farragarith with ease. Next up, she's sending in Gardevoir, and this thing could be a big problem. I decided to leave Greedent in next and try and go for a rest on the off chance that she missed. She doesn't, and a Psychic takes Greedent down. Next up is Scovillain, and we should be able to take out this thing pretty quickly with a crunch. I knew we were going to outspeed, but unfortunately it didn't do close to the amount of damage I thought it was going to do. She can't take us out in 1 hit, and with another crunch we get a defense drop and take her down to the red. Unfortunately another Psychic is enough to take Scovillain down. Sending in Cloyster next, and we should be able to finish her off. I go for a Poison Jab next, and she goes for an Energy Ball. Didn't actually know she had that move, and it's kind of annoying since Cloyster fell. I decided to send in Garganical next, and she goes for another Energy Ball, taking us down to just 70 HP. 1 Heavy Slam's enough to take the Gardevoir out, Next up, she's going to send in her Sparkle. She goes for a Psychic, taking us into the low red and getting a special defense drop. One Rock Slide's enough to take half of its health, and we go for another Rock Slide just in case. Unfortunately, she hits her Psychic first and takes Garganical out. This is not looking very good. We've only got 2 team members left, and I send in Toadscruel next. I'm not really sure what we can do to this thing, since I'm not 100% that ground type moves hit. I decided to go for a Mud Slap anyway, and luckily it does. That means we get an accuracy drop, but she still hits her Psychic next turn. Fortunately, it doesn't do a huge amount of damage, and we can go for another Mud Slap next turn, getting a second accuracy drop. Somehow she hits Psychic again, and we go for one more Mud Slap, this time getting a critical hit and taking her to -3 accuracy. Somehow she hits another one and gets a critical hit herself, taking down Toadscruel. That kind of sucks because I wanted to lower the accuracy of her last Pokemon. Fortunately, we've saved the best till last, and I send in Mabostiff, taking this thing down with 1 crunch. We're in a pretty good position to take out her last Pokemon, Floggeress. I think that's how you say it anyway. And we go for a crunch as she terastallizes it into a Psychic type. That's kind of good for us because it was a Fairy type originally, and that is actually really dangerous for Mabostiff. We managed to hit a crunch and take it out in 1 hit. I'm pretty sure that thing has Moonblast and could have taken Mabostiff out in 1 hit too, so we're really lucky that we outsped that. That's the 7th gym down and Tulip's finished. We head over to the next Titan, which is another easy win, and that's 4 Titans down, meaning we've got just 1 Titan, 2 Starbases, and 1 gym before the Elite Four. The Ice Gym's going to be up next, and our only Fire type is also Grass type, which is not great considering Ice type's going to do quite a bit of damage to us. I'm not sure how the dynamic works being a Fire type and Grass type, and whether that just means neutral damage, but we'll find out. I went for a Poison Jab with Cloyster first turn and did a decent bit of damage, but Frostmoth has Bug Bite, and it actually did a lot of damage to Cloyster. This means that Frostmoth takes down Cloyster, but not before getting into the red health. Next up, Greedent's able to take it down with 1 Body Slam. I'm really enjoying this Pokemon, I can't stress it enough. An Icicle Crash from Beratic does barely any damage, it does get the flinch off. Greedent does manage to do decent damage to the Beratic before going down, but we have to send in Mabostiff to finish the job. 1 Fire Fang on a red health Beratic takes it out. Next up, she's going to send in her Titan. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. And we go for another Fire Fang. This is super effective, but for some reason did barely any damage. And an Ice Spinner, which is actually a really decent move, does a lot of damage to Mabostiff. Another couple take it out, and we send in Scovillain. It's time to find out if ice moves are going to do a lot of damage to us. 1 Flamethrower takes the Titan down to the tiniest little slither, and another one finishes it off. The final Pokemon's Altaria, and she's going to terastallize it into an Ice type. This is a good and a bad thing, since we've got Toadscruel, which is weak to Ice type moves, but we've also got Scovillain out, who can use Flamethrower straight away. This takes it down to the low orange, but with 1 Hurricane, she knocks out Scovillain. This is not great, but we've actually done decent damage at this point. Toadscruel goes for a Seed Bomb and outspeeds, taking it down into the red. But 1 Ice Beam's enough to knock him out in 1 hit. That's a bit unfortunate, but we do still have Garganical, and an Ice Beam does decent damage, but with 1 Heavy Slam, we finish off Altaria and get the final gym badge, meaning we can actually go to the Elite Four now, but we need to finish off a few little things first. We've got 1 more Titan and 2 Star Bosses. I decided to actually skip past the next Starbase because it was really easy. We managed to take him down with 3 or 4 Pokemon still alive, and with a Heavy Slam, we finished off his Starmobile. That's Ortega finished off, and it's time to move on to possibly the hardest fight in the entire game, the final Team Star Boss, and Eri. I actually lost to Eri quite a few times, so this is going to be the time that I actually managed to beat her. Sent Cloyster in first with his new move Ice Spinner. He actually managed to do a decent amount of damage to her team and took out her Toxicroak. This means she's going to send in her next team member, which is going to be Persimmon, which takes out Cloyster in 1 close combat. This does actually lower his defense and special defense, which is pretty good. We decide to send Mabostiff in next to try and take this thing down. I decided to go for a Thunderfang just in case we can get the paralysis off, but unfortunately we don't. and one close combat knocks my boss stiff out in one hit. This also means his defense drops and special defense drops once again. We send in Garganical, and a close combat does huge damage, but it also gets another defense drop, meaning that one Earthquake is enough to finish the Persimmon off. Next up, she's going to send in her Annihilate, which is a wicked Pokemon, and it goes for a close combat, taking out Garganical, but also lowering his defense stats again. This is not a great position to be in, but it's also not terrible. I decided to send in Greedent next, since we've got a Dark type move. One close combat is super effective and takes us down to 47 HP. I'm starting to realise just how weak Arven's team is to fighting types, as Greedent goes down to another close combat after doing barely any damage. I've only got 2 team members left, and we send in Toedscruel with his brand new move, Dazzling Gleam. That does huge damage and manages to take out the Annihilate. Next up is Lucario, so we switch over to Scovillain and take it out with one Flamethrower. Her Starmobile's up next, and after landing his Torque and getting a paralysis off on us, we actually break through and hit our final Flamethrower, taking down Eri and beating what is possibly the hardest fight in the entire game. It did take a couple of attempts, but we actually managed to do it without over leveling too much. Tatsugiri, the Dragon Titan, is the final Titan to take on, and we managed to finish it without even losing one Pokemon. Cloyster's Ice type's really overpowered in this fight. The next fight is Director Cavil pretending to be Cassiopeia, and he starts with his Oranguru, goes down with ease. He takes down the boss stiff with his Abomasnow, and Scovillain finishes it off with a Flamethrower. Next up is Gyarados takes out Greedent with an Aqua Tail, and we decide to send in Cloyster, who finishes it off with a Poison Jab. His next Pokemon goes down to an Ice Spinner, which is his Among Us, and it gets taken out in one hit. His Poltegeist is up next, and he goes for a Shadow Ball, taking down Cloyster. Next up we send Scovillain back in, and with his Crunch, he's able to take the Poltegeist out with a critical hit. His final Pokemon is his Skeledirge, and he's going to Terrastallize it. This is the Pokemon I was talking about earlier, and if it gets Torch Songs off, it can actually be really dangerous. It manages to hit Garganical with an Earth Power, and we miss our Rock Blast. That's really annoying. He hits another Earth Power, taking us down to the low red, and we actually manage to hit Rock Blast next turn. It actually hits quite a few times, since it's the chance it can only hit twice, and it gets it down to half health. There's not a whole lot we can do here, so I tried going for an Earthquake on the off chance that we land it. Unfortunately, Garganical falls, and I send in Toedscruel to finish the job. We go for an Earth Power, an Outspeed, taking down the Skeledirge, and finishing off Director Cavil. That was a pretty easy fight, but it definitely could have gone wrong at certain points, so we were pretty lucky to win like that. Next up is the real Cassiopeia, and it's Penny. She's going to send in her Eevees, and she starts with Umbreon, so we start with Mabostiff. It's a battle of the Dark types, and we go for a Fire Fang, getting a lucky burn off early. She's also got the Synchronize ability, meaning that she gets the burn off on Mabostiff as well, which is actually quite devastating since our attack stat is really important. A few more Fire Fangs later, we manage to take down the Umbreon, and she sends in Leafeon next. We switch to Scovillain and take it out with one Flamethrower. Next up is our Flareon, and we're going to go for an Earthquake. We take it down to the low orange, and next turn take it out with another Earthquake. That was pretty easy. She sends in her Vaporeon next, so we go for Toedscruel. We've got Power Whip now, which is a really powerful grass type move, and 2 of those take out her Vaporeon with ease. Next up is her Jolteon, and we decide to stay in with Toedscruel and go for Earth Powers. Her Pin Missile is actually really powerful, and if it hits quite a few times here, Toedscruel could go down. We get left with just 7 HP, and we land one more Earth Power, taking out her Jolteon. That was pretty close. Her final Pokemon is going to be the best evolution, Sylveon. She's going to Terrastallize it into a Fairy type, which it already was anyway. I don't have a great counter to this, but we do still have quite a lot of team members that are pretty healthy, so I send in Cloyster. I'm going to go for Poison Jab since it's super effective, but I didn't think it was going to do half, and it doesn't. It looks like 3 is going to be enough to take it out, and as we get the poison on the second one, she goes for a Moonblast. This could easily finish Cloyster off, and it does. That's kind of annoying since one more Poison Jab would have finished her, but at least she's poisoned, and she goes down into the low red, with us still having 5 team members, 3 of which are at full health. I send Ingredient to finish her off, and we're going to go for a Hyper Beam. This move's actually been really fun to use. I never normally use it because of having to recharge afterwards, but if you use it in this way where you finish off fights, it can be really satisfying. With that, we've taken down Sylveon and we've taken down Penny. That means next up, we've got the Elite Four. First up is Raikou, and she's going to start with her Wish Cash. This is actually a really dangerous Pokemon, but it's super weak to Grass type, so I decided to start with Toedscruel and go for a Power Whip. We managed to take it out in 1 hit, and we switched to Cloyster for the Camera Up, who also goes down to 1 hit from a Surf. Next up is Donphan, who nearly goes down to 1 hit from a Surf, but his sturdy ability keeps 1 health for him. He actually misses his Stone Edge, which means we get 1 Mortal Pulse off and take out a 3rd team member without taking any damage whatsoever. This is crazy. Another Surf takes out Dugtrio in 1 hit, and her final Pokemon is going to be her Clodsire. She's going to Terastallize it into a pure ground type, meaning water type moves are going to be super effective, just like the rest of her team. We go for an Ice Spinner, and we manage to take it out in 2 hits. I'm not really sure why I didn't use Surf, since it probably would have been a 1-hit KO, but it doesn't really matter either way. That's 1 Elite Four member down, and next up is going to be the Steel type user, Poppy. This could be kinda dangerous if she takes Scovillain out early, but with Flamethrower we should be able to do a lot of damage. I decided to lead with Cloyster and start with Surfs. We managed to get it down to the low red, and it sets up a Stealth Rock. Moves like Stealth Rock and Toxic Spikes can be really annoying when set up early in the match like this, but we managed to take Copperaja out next turn, and we send in Scovillain. It's time to start sweeping. As we go for a Flamethrower on Magnezone, we actually get the burn off, and even though it survives from Sturdy, the burn takes it down. Does manage to get a move off before the burn takes effect, and that move is Light Screen, which is really irritating. I decided to switch to Garganical to try and wear off the Light Screen for a little bit, and since Corvignite's up next, Rock Blast's going to be pretty effective. Unfortunately, we only hit twice, and we flinched next turn, meaning that an Iron Head took Garganical down. We have wasted a lot of the Light Screen turns, and I decided to switch to Mabostiff next. We can finish the Corvignite off easily with Thunder Fangs, and as she sends in Bronzorg, we go for a Fire Fang and get the flinch. We also did half damage, meaning our next Fire Fang was enough to take the Bronzorg out without taking any damage. Her final Pokemon is actually probably one of my favourite Pokemon from the new generation, Tinkaton. She Terastallizes it into a pure Steel type, and 1 Fire Fang takes it down to half health. We also get the flinch off again. This is so lucky, as another Fire Fang takes down the Tinkaton. I was honestly just waiting to switch back to Scovillain, and I'm surprised that we took her out without even needing to use it again. With Poppy down, Larry's up next. I think it's kind of lazy that one of the Elite Four members is also a gym leader, but I guess it's kind of a cool gimmick since he changes his typing. He now uses flying types, and his first one, Tropius, goes down to a critical hit Flamethrower. I'm not sure we needed the crit there, but I'll take it. Scovillain goes down to Staraptor's Brave Bird, and Garganical comes in next. The close combat does a decent amount of damage and lowers Staraptor's defences. Rock Blast easily finishes it off with just 2 hits. We probably could have got more hits there, but we didn't need them anyway. I send in Cloyster against his Altaria, since we've got Ice type moves, and a 1-hit KO comes next with Ice Spinner. He sends in Oricorio, and its electric type moves managed to take Cloyster out with ease. I decided to send Mabostiff in next, and I actually misclicked. I meant to use Fire Fang, but I ended up using Thunder Fang. It did decent damage anyway, but I went for a crunch next turn and finished it off. He Terastallizes his Flamigo last, and he's going to turn it into a pure flying type. We're going to send Greedent in against this thing, and I'm pretty sure Greedent should be able to take it out. Goes for a close combat and does huge damage, but also lowers his own defences. We go for a Thunder Fang and take just over half health. I'm actually surprised, I thought that was going to take it out in 1 hit. One more close combat takes Greedent down, but also brings his defense and special defense to -2. I send in Toedscruel, and with 1 Dazzling Gleam, we finish off Flamigo and Larry. That means we're on to the final Elite Four member in Hassel. He uses Dragon types, and to be honest, he's kind of underwhelming. I expected more from a Dragon type user. Dragon's my favourite type and it's super powerful, so he actually isn't really that much of a threat. He sends in his Noivern first, so I decided to lead with Garganical, and we actually managed to get 3 hits off with Rock Blast, but it survives with the tiniest little slither. It hits us with 2 Super Fangs, bringing us down to the low orange, and 1 more Rock Blast finishes it off. He sends in his Dragalge next, and we decide to go for a crunch, taking it below half with Mabostiff. He actually manages to get the poison off with a Sludge Bomb, and we go for another crunch next turn, finishing it off. I decided to go for Outrage next, which is a new move that I've taught to Mabostiff specifically for this fight. And we take out his Flapple and his Haxorus in 1 turn each. He's going to tend in his Black Excalibur next, and he's going to Terastallize it into a pure Dragon type. This means that Outrage is going to do huge damage, and unfortunately Mabostiff was confused, so I decided to switch out. I don't know what I was thinking, but for some reason I used Flamethrower with Scovillain thinking it was going to be super effective against an Ice type, forgetting completely that he was pure Dragon now. I decided to switch into Toadscruel next, who goes for a super effective Dazzling Gleam. Unfortunately, 1 Ice type move is going to take him down with ease. The Glaive Rush against Greedent isn't quite enough to take him out, and he manages to get his Hyper Beam off. This is the 3rd fight we've finished with Hyper Beam, and it's just so satisfying to watch. His Black Excalibur falls, and Hassel is now finished, meaning we can move on to the champion. I've always found Greta a kind of cool character. She has Pokemon that are down in Area 0, and I don't really know how she could possibly have got them. It just adds a lot of mystery to her character. We get an excellent start, taking out her Espathra with 1 crunch. She sends in Gogoat next, and a crunch takes it down to half, and a second one finishes it off. Mabostiff is an absolute MVP of this match already. 2 Fire Fangs take the Avalugg down to half as it finishes Mabostiff off with a body press. We send in Scovillain next, and a Flamethrower finishes off her Avalugg, taking it down to just 3 team members. She sends in her King Gambit next, and 2 Flamethrowers is enough to take it down. We even get a crit on the second one, which we really didn't need. She sends in her Veluza next, and we decide to stay in with Scovillain and use a crunch. It's just using Liquidation and Retaliation, which is doing basically nothing, and another crunch takes the Veluza out. She's already down to her final Pokemon, Glimora, and she's going to Terastallize it. It's actually a really powerful Pokemon, and even though we still have a lot of team members left, it's kind of scary to go up against this thing. An Earthquake from Garganical takes it below half health, as she manages to take Garganical out. Goes for a Terra Blast against our Greedent, and it actually does not as much damage as I was expecting. Greedent manages to get a Body Slam off and takes it down to the red with a critical hit. It goes for another Terra Blast next turn, and it's not going to be enough to take Greedent out, but because he was poisoned and he took Chip, it was. Toadscruel then comes in and outspeeds with an Earth Power, finishing the Glimmer off. That was actually really lucky. That thing could have wiped our team pretty quickly. With that, we've beaten Greta and we're finally the champion. But that's not all. We've got another fight with Nomura. She was really dangerous last time. She took us down to just 1 HP. And as she starts with her Lycanroc, we start with Cloyster. We take her down to the low red with a Water Pulse, and she even hits herself in confusion. This means Lycanroc goes down without doing any damage, and we switch to Greedent to take out her Pawmot. I went for Hyper Beam here on a bit of a risk, and we actually managed to 1-hit KO, meaning we can switch out not having to recharge. She sends in Orthworm next, and 1 Flamethrower takes it down. Her Goodra falls to an Outrage from Mabostiff, and I decided to switch to Garganical to take out her Dunsparce with a super effective Hammer Arm. Her final Pokemon's Quacksquabble, and we send in Toadscruel to try and lower its accuracy. It's going to use Ice Spinner, and unfortunately it took Toadscruel out in 1 hit. We did get 1 accuracy drop, and as we send Mabostiff back in, we land a Thunderfang, taking it below half health. We go for another Thunderfang next turn, and we outspeed, taking the Quacksquabble out. This actually went a lot better than last time, and we easily beat Nomura. We've still got 1 more fight to do before we go down to Area 0, and it's going to be against the fake Arven. I've actually been looking forward to this fight. We start with Mabostiff, and we take his Greedent down to half health. It uses a Body Slam and gets the Paralysis off. Unfortunately, Paralysis hits next turn, and he manages to get another Body Slam off. We're not quite at half health yet, and we hit a crunch next turn, which is a critical hit, taking the Greedent out. I decided to switch to Toadscroll to take out its Garganical, 2 power whips, including another critical hit, take it out with ease. He sends in his Scovillain next, so we do the same, taking it out with a Flamethrower. It's Greedent against Toadscroll next, and one Hyper Beam, after a few body slams, takes his Toadscroll down too. He sends in his Cloyster and manages to finish off Mabostiff. That's kind of annoying, but we send our Cloyster in next. Poison Jabs versus Liquidation mean that we actually managed to take his Cloyster out easily as well. His final Pokemon is his Mabostiff, and he's going to Terrestrialize it into a Dark type. We send in Greedent, and we finish it off with a critical hit Hyper Beam. That's the fake Arven taken down, and it's time to head down to Area 0 for the final battle. I've really enjoyed using Arven's team. When I first looked at them, I really didn't think they were going to be much to write home about. He's got 2 grass types in the same team, and he's even using a normal type in Greedent. I didn't really rate the look of his team, but after using them for an entire run, I actually really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to do more of these runs with other characters, and as we head to the bottom of Area 0, it's time for the final battle with Professor Churros. He starts with his Iron Moth, and we decide to send in Cloyster. He manages to get a 1-hit KO, which I really wasn't expecting. We'll send in Garganical next and go for Rock Blast. We actually managed to hit more than twice, which is perfect, meaning we can take down the Iron Moth in 3 hits. He's going to send in Iron Thorns next, and he goes for an Earthquake, which is super effective. Luckily, Garganical doesn't take too much damage and gets a 1-hit KO with an Earthquake of his own. He sends in his Iron Hands next, and we go for an Earth Power with Toadscroll. He hits back with a Drain Punch, meaning he gets a bit of health back, but not enough to survive another Earth Power. I know we outspeed, so we go for another Earth Power, taking his Iron Hands down, and next up is going to be his Iron Bundle. 1 Freeze Dry takes out Toadscroll. Not a great start, but we send in Mabostiff next. He takes a decent bit of damage, but finishes off the Iron Bundle with Thunderfang. Next up, he's going to send in his Iron Jugulus. 1 Thunderfang takes it down to half health as he goes for an Air Slash and misses. Another Thunderfang takes the Iron Jugulus out, and he's down to his last Pokemon. His Iron Valiant. 1 Brick Break finishes off Mabostiff, and this thing's looking really dangerous. We send in Scovillain, and 1 hit from a Poison Jab takes us down to 8 HP and poisons us, meaning Scovillain's going to faint after this round. He manages to get a Flamethrower off, bringing it below half, and then falls to the poison. I've only got 2 team members left, and Garganical's below half health. I send in the absolute Clutch Lord Greedent, and we go through a Hyper Beam. 1 Brick Break takes us down to 77 HP, and just like we've done for the rest of the run, a Hyper Beam finishes off the Iron Valiant. That is such a great way to end this run. We've defeated Professor Churros and officially completed the game. I really enjoyed this run, and if you did as well, please subscribe to the channel. It really helped me out a lot. I'm getting quite close to monetization now, and I'd really appreciate the help. Let me know in the comments below what other characters you'd like to see me do a run of. I'm doing all the gym leaders and Elite Four members, and also the rivals as well. So if you've got one in mind that you really want to see, let me know, and I'll make sure it's the next one that I do. My next run's going to be Iona, so look forward to that one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.